Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today, I've got a great one for you. We're going to be talking about Alfred. And I think, from the looks of it, a lot of you are fans of Alfred. So, let me just get started here. He's an early unit in the game. Alfred first joins your team in Chapter 3, Hostilities. He's a main character, so he's going to appear in most cutscenes and supports, and that just makes me like him so much more. Everything we see of him is pretty great. He's kind, he's disciplined, he's happy-go-lucky. This kid seems pretty laid back, and he also goes way back with Lear, so you know he's got to be one of the real ones. His storyline in the game makes me want to use him so much more, but, and I'm going to give you a spoiler warning here, pause. His story does not end well at all. We can go more into depth with that at the end of the video, as well as how to save him from this fate. But for now, let's get right into it and break this character down, see exactly how viable he actually is.
We started this journey together. Now let's end it together. May our world prosper, Divine One.
Okay, so what class should we make Alfred? Well, he starts off as a noble class, and he can be promoted to Avenir. Now, I've been playing this game for a while now. I just actually passed the 700 hours mark, and I'm going to suggest that you keep him as Avenir. It's definitely his best class by far. He's a unit that requires a ton of investments, time, and resources, but honestly, he's going to pay you back tenfold, trust me. Even in the Outrealm trials, where I'm seeing teams that are way better than mine, they're almost always using Alfred, so you see it a lot in Fire Emblem. There's some characters that start off not so good. You can really grind them out to make them beasts. He is certainly one of those, and he's definitely best in his Avenir class. Okay, so if you've seen character breakdowns on this channel before, you already know what we need to do, and that is to max out all of his stats. In every single character's case, it's not just about where they came from, it's about how far you can take them. And Alfred is literally that exact same example, but on steroids, because he starts so bad, but he can become so good. So here are his max capped stats. So we have 71 health, 16 build, 47 strength, 19 magic, 34 dexterity, 35 speed, 39 defense, 19 resistance, and 44 luck. So this is all coming from him in his Avenir class, and you will see that his proficiency here, really the only weapons he can use, are swords and lances, so obviously he's a very physical unit. He's got super high strength, as you've seen here. His health is good, high defense, but once again, physical unit. He's got super low resistance, so you're going to want to keep him away from some of those magic users. That's going to be a massive weakness for him. Jumping over to his skills, we'll start with his personal skill. I like the name of this one, Self-Improver. This really kind of embodies Alfred pretty well. He's a disciplined guy, right? So what this does, it's actually pretty sweet. If Alfred waits for a turn without attacking or using any items, he has to truly just wait. Then he'll get an extra 2 strength for the following turn. That's pretty nice to have. Honestly, there's a good amount of times, especially early on in a map, that you can utilize something like this. So I think it's pretty good. Also, later on in the game, he's going to be able to double fairly often. So the extra 2 in strength really kind of ends up being like an extra 4. So it might seem like nothing kind of early on in the game. But once again, like I said, this character can be taken quite far. And at that point, when you have an extra 2 strength on top of the insane max cap strength that he already has, you're killer. His class skill is called Golden Lotus. So during combat, what this will do is it'll prevent 50% of physical damage that you take, but you don't get it every single time. It's triggered by a percentage of your dex. Now keep in mind, his dex cap is 34. Kind of run of the mill, right? Not as bad as a character like Diamant, but definitely not one of the better dex stats that we've seen. So what you're going to want to do here is just make sure that you pair him with the right emblem. Somebody that can increase that dex, and that'll make him a lot more balanced. This skill I think is pretty great for Alfred, since he's going to be a tanker on your front line. With this skill, he's now going to have high movement to chase enemies, open combat. He's going to have high defense to build a shield for your entire team. So personally, I think not only is this class great for him, but this class skill specifically actually works well to balance him. Next up, let's inherit 2 skills for him. There's a lot of options for Alfred. You could turn him into a tanker, like I've suggested here, but another good option for him is a damage dealer, and the skills that you inherit should be in line with that, right? So Alfred is very susceptible to magic due to having a relatively low resistance stat, so consider supplementing him with skills like resistance +5 and resolve plus. I'll give you some additional options as well. Any of these skills are going to work well for the 2 kind of unit types that I mentioned there. Resolve plus, Canter plus, Lance Power 5, Holdout plus, Life Sphere plus, Divine Pulse plus, and Strength/Dex +5. Now, for me and for the purpose of this video, what you're watching right now, I inherited him with Canter plus and Strength/Dex +5. You guys already know, if you've even seen literally one other of my videos, then you already know that I love Canter plus. I'm always talking about it, and for this entire series I think I've used it. It's just perfect. Perfect example would be when I'm trying to solo, I always attack, then come back to a healing tile. It just works so well, but also it can help you escape. And it can make a hit and run character too, so it really just works for everybody. Anyway, I don't need to go into that anymore. It's going to be a great one. And then the Strength/Dex +5, that's going to help him a lot because for his personal skill, we know we need that Dex, and his Strength is already good, so it just kind of makes him into an absolute beast. Okay, so this character has access to swords and lances. That means that so long as we prepare appropriately, we can always take advantage of the weapon triangle. That's going to be fantastic, so we need to make sure that we bring at least 1 sword, at least 1 lance with us into every single battle. We know that his weakness is going to be magic users, and they like to attack from afar a lot. So we also want to make sure that we have ranged weapons in there. So for that, my suggestion is Levin Sword +5 and Spear +5. But there's also a couple lances that I think that are pretty epic. You just want to have in to deal that extra damage. It's going to be a Brave Lance +5 and Represalies +5 as well. If you bring these with you into a battle, then you'll be as prepared as you could hope to be. Pairing is the most important part, and I wanted to make sure that I got this right. So, I maxed out Alfred's bond with Sigurd, Roy, Byleth, Tiki, Camilla, Edelgard, and Veronica. What I found was, Roy is the best one. He just is, okay? When you're engaged with Roy, you get 1 more movement, and we already know movement is the most important stat in the game. Alfred is going to be one of the more important characters in the game, so of course he should have it, especially since he's going to be at the front lines so often. The cool thing is, just for being paired with Roy, he also gets Holdout ++, and that's going to help Alfred survive on those front lines for at least 1 to 2 enemy phases. If you think that's not a lot, you haven't played maddening mode very long. You need that, okay? It's going to be a very, very good thing, especially for a tanker. And then finally, there's a skill that Roy has, when engaged with him, of course, which is called Level Up, and that is going to give you a stat boost of 5 extra levels, which is absolutely unreal, super, super important, especially in the early game, and especially on a maddening mode, but even more important in the Outrealm trials, where these days it feels like, you know, everyone's entire team is maxed out, so you want to find a way to go even beyond maxed out. Roy is a great pairing for Alfred in terms of that. Okay, there it is. So now we know a little bit more about Alfred. The last thing to know is how he dies, and unfortunately, the end credits insinuate that he does not live to be an old man. Although it's vague around exactly how he passed, it definitely sounds tragic. If you want to spare Alfred, you know, I appreciate that. I want to spare him as well, and I suggest you all do in your game by getting his support level to S rank with Alir. You do that, and you're going to see a much happier ending. So go check that out. Let me know in the comments what you think of the alternate ending for Alfred. And that's it. That's it for the video. If you want to play me in the Outrun Trials, then definitely check my ID in the description below. Make sure to give the video a like if you liked it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, come on, help me out, brother. I appreciate each and every one of you. Love you. See you in the next video.